What's up, Doc? Welcome to the Docs Get Money podcast. Are you a badass doctor killing it professionally and has bigger dreams than just clocking in and out of the hospital? Do you want to leave behind a legacy that is as lit as an HBCU homecoming? Want to know how other doctors are getting to the big bag? That's right, making 5, 6, and 7 figures without putting on the white coat? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Kimberly, but you can call me Kim or KB. I went from being a burnt out and overwhelmed emergency physician to the founder and CEO of 2 6-figure non-clinical companies and beating burnout along the way. I'm also your business coach, here to help you make money moves to change the world. This podcast isn't just about making money, though. It's about leveling up your life, mindset, and bank account so you can build an empire that's as iconic as Beyonce. You ready? Let's get into it. Picture this. You're sprinting out of a building engulfed in flames. The very structure you once revered as a temple of healing now is nothing but a towering inferno of burnout and frustration. Behind you, the endless nights, the thankless shifts, and the corporate medicine structure controlling how you practice are all consumed by the blaze. Up ahead, you see nothing but freedom, clarity, purpose, income, and impact. That's where I come in. And from side hustler to CEO, my signature one-on-one business coaching program, you'll start your own fire by launching your first profitable coaching, consulting, or midterm rental business and make clinical cash in 90 days or less. That's right, 4 or 5 figures in 90 days or less. This is for the doctors who feel like every shift is a dumpster fire, unmanageable, or just out of control. Let me help you rise from the ashes, thriving, and with a business that brings you life instead of sucking it out of you. Ready? Slide into my DMs on Instagram at Dr. Kimberly B with the word out, and let's turn the burnout into the bag. Thank you so much for joining us again for another episode of the Docs Get Money podcast. I am really excited about this episode specifically. I have known Dr. Jamie Hardy for you know what? I'll say this. I feel like she has been somebody I have known in the social media like atmosphere a lot, and she's been somebody I've looked up to, and I knew I wanted to meet her before I actually got a chance to meet her at a conference. I don't think you knew that little snippet. Like, I had known a little bit about you, like I had seen you, and then I knew you were in Memphis, the same thing as me. You're born and raised here. And so I know you, of course, come back, and we'll talk about that. But anyways, sorry, I'm looking at her, you guys, as I'm introducing her to you. Anywho, but you had been somebody I had known in the influence of the time where I saw a lot of Black women physicians, Black women doctors, pharmacists showing up in a different way and not necessarily being a physician or being a pharmacist as their day job. And so seeing someone like you when I was at a part in my life when I'm just like, well, what am I doing with this? Like, why do I see so many Black women doing this? I don't know what you're doing, but I love what you're doing. I don't like at the same time, I don't know what's happening to you, but this needs to happen to me. Like, I just saw an experience from an outside. And so then to meet you at a conference where we were able to connect and just over the years, just follow each other's business journey. It's been an honor to be your friend and to just kind of watch you. Yes. But at the same time, you're an incredible businesswoman, incredible business mind. And so I'm so glad to have you on the podcast. So, podcast audience, I would love to introduce you to my friend, Dr. Jamie Hardy. Welcome to the podcast, friend. Hey.
For allowing me the opportunity to be here and to just welcome me onto your platform and bring me before your audience. Whenever anyone trusts me with their people, I don't take it lightly. And I am just so grateful that you thought of me and trusted me enough to allow me.
Oh, Jamie, you don't make me cry, girl. Well, I say we both Pisces. We'll cry in a minute now.
Yes.
No, of course, Jamie, thank you. That made me feel like I was back in church. Like, when you get a guest pastor to come, well, you blessing my pulpit now. So, no, of course, I had to have you because I just think about so many people that I have been connected to that are doing non-traditional things and getting money outside of the white coat, which is what this whole podcast is really about. I honestly thought about you and one of the first people that I saw doing it and can still continuing to do that. Because when I'm saying all these things, I was still in residency. So that was like 2017, 2018. Then I'm like, I think I was introduced to you or like started hearing about you or somehow your name was dropped into my Facebook feed, I'll just say. And then to meet you in 2019, I do remember that much. And so kind of going from there. So yeah.
Crazy. For me, it felt like we almost kind of like instantly clicked
Mhm. Mhm.
when we met each other, when we just happened to meet each other in real life at that conference.
Yeah. It really was. Because it was just like, I was like, oh, I know you. Yes, you live in Memphis, right? And I'm like, so do I. Like, I would love to like talk to you. Like, we should connect. And we actually did.
And we really did. Because people say that at conferences all the time.
True. True. And I've met some other people who was actually going to also be on this pharmacist. You met her, Jasmine as well, Jasmine Zachary. She's also an entrepreneur as well too. So I connected with her the same way I met her just randomly on a cruise ship, and then we say we were going to connect. Oh yeah, girl, we'll exchange numbers. No, yeah, we actually connected and remained in sync. So you met her, of course, too, and she's a soror. So anywho, so Jamie, tell the podcast audience a little bit about you because yes, you're born and raised in Memphis, but tell them why you here, girl. You know why you here.
I am born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, and like many people that I have met in my professional journey, we have desired to go away for our education, just to step outside of the norm and what we have been exposed to experience something different and see how the other parts of the world live and learn.
Mm-hmm.
So my pursuit of a professional career took me out of Memphis. So I am a pharmacist by training, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something that many people may not know. I started out when I went to college. I attended Xavier University of Louisiana. All right, XU. Hey.
Okay.
Everybody's tuning in to this. Xavier originally, like many of my peers, as a biology pre-med major.
Mm-hmm.
So I always intended to don a white coat.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to be an MD instead of a PharmD. But, life has a way about causing you to adjust and even course correct. And so I know that pharmacy is the right profession for me, and that was the right, doctoral designation for me because of the experiences that I had while I was on that journey as a pre-medicine major.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing about me, I come from a family of educators, and my mama did not play. Even in the summers, once I was in college, I still had to do something educational.
Oh yes. You gonna be in somebody's program for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. You gonna get a stipend. You gonna move towards that goal. You gonna do something.
You're not gonna be laying up in my house in the summertime, Miss Man, while I go to work.
Doing what? Right.
So everybody's going somewhere.
You must go somewhere. Yes.
Okay. Shout out to all the black moms out there.
Yes. Who was also an educator as well too, like was not playing with me at all.
Not playing. And so during that summer after my first year of college, my first year as a pre-medicine biology pre-med major, I had the opportunity to do a program at UT Health Science Center in Memphis. So I came home for the summer, did a program, and the whole idea was to expose all of us to, of course, enrichment activities in science and math in the morning. And because we were all on this healthcare career path, they partnered us or paired us with a healthcare professional to shadow in the afternoon. So because of my major, they paired me with physicians to shadow.
Right.
Of course.
Right.
And it was just such a blessing that I met a Black female physician who was in her second year of residency.
Hmm.
And she was very honest and candid and transparent about her journey and her life.
Hmm.
So she did not say, don't do medicine, don't go down this path. But I was asking her probing questions like, tell me what a day in the life of a resident looks like. Describe that to me. Tell me about your family, your life outside of school, outside of work. And she shared with me like what the call schedule was like.
Yeah.
The microaggressions that she was encountering.
Yeah.
The stresses.
Yeah.
Feeling alone as one of the only, Black women of color in her program.
Right.
And just that she was feeling like she was achieving a lot in terms of her career pursuits, but she was sacrificing time with family, with friends, relationships, wanting to start a family, like how she was adjusting her life to make her career fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting any of that, right?
Yeah.
I'm a little, freshman in college, mind blown.
Right. Right, because no one, well, let's pause right there because no one is talking about it because let's go there. The fact that you were even able to connect with someone, a Black woman physician, first of all, we are only 2 to maybe-ish 3%. I've heard a weird number getting there now of the whole physician workforce. So to find one right in your backyard, literally, thankfully, and being able to connect with her, and then the fact that she was even real enough, transparent enough with you to tell you her real story and what was actually happening. And you could, potentially see some of it as well, too, I'm assuming. But the rawness that she had to have with you to be like, hey, girl, this is real stuff, like actual factual. Do with this information with what you will. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And I was just so appreciative that she was so candid and transparent because I was able to make an informed decision.
Yeah.
And so, me being the little smart person that I am, I was like, okay, well, there are some other healthcare folks here that are, letting other people in the program shadow them. Maybe I can mix it up a bit. So I shared the program coordinator, hey, I've seen a position. It was awesome. I didn't divulge anything that she and I talked about, but I said, hey, since I'm here, are there some other things that I can see? And so I was able to spend some time with a Black female pharmacist. Okay? Like, I should have been playing the lottery. Like, I was...
Okay! Because you could have been a billionaire by now. Because the way your luck hit, like... Maybe we should move to Vegas, girl. Let's quit Memphis and we'll just move to Vegas.
I think the warm weather and the sun.
Okay. Yes, we'll be rich and then the shopping will be much better.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway. Anywho.
With that being said, opportunity to spend some time with the pharmacist. And some of those same, I kept the questions the same because I wanted to see what the answers were going to be. And the short version is that because of that introduction to what a pharmacist did outside of retail, like in a hospital setting, that opened my eyes to, I knew nothing of this world because my experience and understanding and knowledge of pharmacists up to that point had been at a Walgreens or a Kroger. Yeah. In the community pharmacy space. Never in the hospital working side by side with nurses, respiratory therapists, physicians, being a partner in care. I had never seen that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was the first time that my eyes were even open to that being a possibility.
Yeah.
Right? So I went back to Xavier after that program wrapped. Now a little more curious about pharmacy. I still hadn't changed my major. I'm still on this, bio pre-med path. Those little nuggets, those little gems tucked away up here and in my back pocket. But girl, come on, Holy Ghost. Let me tell you how the Lord moves. Just so he would be clear on what path I was intended to be on. My grandmother, who is the person that, and I may cry, the person that I have loved more than anybody in this world, honey, okay? She was in a car accident during my Christmas break of my sophomore year. So I'm home. we get a call in the middle of the night, your grandmother's been in an accident, come to the hospital. So, we're not knowing, what the severity is.
Your grandma was up at the med?
So she went to the med initially because she was in a, motor vehicle accident. So for those of you all who don't know, the Regional Medical Center of Memphis is a level 1 trauma center.
Yes.
And it was also the indigent care hospital.
Yes.
In the city. So
yes.
They don't, whoever is in a trauma, you're going there, regardless of your insurance, your job,
don't matter. Yes.
That is where you want to go if you want to live.
Yeah.
They have the best trauma surgeons and experts on hand 24/7.
Right.
So Granny went to regional. It was called the Med back then, but they rebranded. They're the Regional Medical Center. They're Regional 1 now. Actually.
Yes, they're Regional 1. Yeah.
And then they were the Med. And so she went there as customary to get her injuries assessed, to see what, how severe things were, get her stabilized. And she was able to be transferred to a different hospital.
Okay.
So I didn't see her when she was at Regional 1.
Okay.
I saw her once she got transferred to another healthcare system.
Okay. Got you.
Girl, but let me tell you. So my grandmother is like black and blue, like all banged up, bruised up, and she has suffered a broken shoulder. A 18-wheeler hit her car. All right. So there was nothing but God that even allowed her to be, alive after that accident.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
Right? But look, let me talk about it, how God works. So while my grandmother was in the hospital, I had another encounter with a black female pharmacist who was an inpatient pharmacist rounding on the team, taking care of my grandmother. And I had been crying. I'm at the bedside, still trying to study, because I have tests when I go back to Xavier. I'm still trying to do my homework, with
Yeah.
Sat down. Okay? And that's huge, first of all, in the medical world, that people have time to sit down and engage with you, first of all.
That's true.
She sat down and engaged with me and said, "Hi, who are you to, Miss Johnson?" I said, "This is my grandmother." And she was like, "Oh my gosh. Well, let me tell you, I know your grandmother looks pretty bad, but she is going to be just fine. I'm the pharmacist that's on the team. I'm looking at all her medications. She is going to be fine." She took the time to see me, read my body language, see that I'm studying something for college, and we had that moment. And that is when I said, you know what? I've run into 2 black pharmacists. They have been so impactful in my life. This is who I want to be. That was it. So I changed my major from pre-medicine
to
pharmacy. Yes.
Oh my God. That is the best story I've ever heard. That's a beautiful story. And the rarity of that, because what are the statistics for black women pharmacists? I feel like I know all y'all.
I need to really check the numbers. I know the numbers are rising.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Because I graduated from Xavier, and I'm in that space, that we don't realize how rare we are.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, she's a pharmacist, he's a pharmacist, she's a physician, she's a dentist, he's a neurosurgeon. We think it's just so regular.
Right.
So we don't realize how rare we all are.
Yeah. No, 100%. No, and you're right. And all of the vast majority of physicians or doctors or any high level anything, attorneys, accountants, what have you, the vast majority of us have come from an HBCU, and the HBCU community is very tight knit. So no, I did not go to Xavier. I went to Fisk University. I wear that loud and proud, but it's all the same. And it's like, we have so many similar experiences and so many different things. So it's always yes, it's just yeah, I feel like we all knew each other because we all had a similar experience growing up and going to college and all that other stuff too. So yeah, that's an amazing story. So did they also go to HBCUs? Did you find that out, or?
So the physician resident who I met did not.
Okay.
A pharmacist at the program when I shadowed her, not only did she go to an HBCU, she went to Xavier.
Oh, okay.
She was a pioneer in Black pharmacy. But she was one of the champions.
Wow.
I'm sure people from Memphis have heard of her.
Yes.
So I met one of his daughters. And she ended up
Wow.
actually writing, once I decided I was going to change my major, she ended up writing one of my letters for a recommendation for pharmacy school. So how amazing did that look that I'm applying to Xavier Pharmacy School?
Wow.
And I have a letter of rec from someone in that lineage.
Yeah.
And
okay. So
divine.
That's completely divine. I will say this. So little random history in Memphis, story drop here. Yeah, Jamie, you could probably tell this story better than I could, but the Champion family is a Black family of pharmacists who have also incorporated what I like, the old school remedies that still actually work, and some herbalism, and they have really built a brand in the community, really from Dr. Champion himself. I don't know his first name, unfortunately. Charles Champion, thank you. And so my personal experience, actually, after knowing that, because people would just ask me, I think when I was in residency, did I know the Champions? I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to pull where these memories are coming from. And I had never heard of it, and I didn't understand the big deal. And well, Dr. Champion said, and I'm like, well, who is this man? Because who is,
his recommendations were a law. You hear me?
Yes.
Top tested, girl.
And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Like, whoever this man is, because I don't have any connection to this man. So funny enough, I finally, and I feel like I can say this because I know he's deceased now, unfortunately. But I took care of him when I was working at a local local hospital system here. He came in, not feeling well, and I diagnosed his condition, that he was infected, that he had, I don't even remember the infection that he had, but because of his age and because of his other conditions that he had and managed well, managed well, that I wanted to admit him to the hospital because honestly, I looked at him like he was my grandfather. And if that was my granddaddy gonna spend a night or two in this hospital. Y'all gonna pump him with some antibiotics. And I remember he asked me just the most intelligent question. And I was trying to just keep it general and like real light and patient, like, oh yeah, we're gonna admit you to the hospital. We're just gonna give you some IV antibiotics and some fluids. You'll be okay. He's like, am I septic? And I'm like, I mean, Dr. Champion, yes, but I mean, we're barely pushing it. Their galactic is like 2.2, and your white count is like 13. And it's like, I could make, your heart rate's like 91. Like, yes, sir. So yeah, you're technically septic, but I just remembered that was such a still in it. He was still right. Like he still technically was septic. And that intuition, because he had lost his vision then as well too. And so I hadn't told him any of the information, but it was like just that knowing. And I respect that so much, of just that. I don't know. It was just the knowledge of himself that he knew that this was going on with him, because he kept saying, it's like, oh yeah, I knew something was wrong. That's why I'm here. I don't typically come. And that would make sense, because his whole brand is, why would I ever go to the hospital if I know how to heal myself with natural remedies? So that's my personal story with him. But Dr. Champion's legacy is incredible. So to meet his daughter.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. And she didn't lead with that. And I didn't put that together until later. It was like I do that, and I was...
She's throwing all that in your face.
Her because of that.
Yeah.
Because she was married and so her last name was different, like that she was going by in the professional space.
Got it.
I got to know her, beyond, the work environment.
Got you.
That I gleaned that nugget. So I had no idea.
That's amazing. Okay, well, I just had to do that detour because I'm like, let me put respect on the ancestors' names, because he is a living legend. And some of the stuff, like as an allopathic physician, it's just like, I don't know if I would 100% agree with that, but it worked for him, and it's worked for so many other people, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. And so, and I love the fact that he always again, told us to go back to our roots, go back to the natural way of doing things and not necessarily looking to, you know, artificial things outside of ourselves in order to heal us. So, yeah. Anywho, okay, so that's how you got introduced to pharmacy, and I love that you were just like, okay, this is this is definitely a sign, and you took that sign and you ran with it. So then what did you do? So then you went, where'd you go to pharmacy school?
So I did everything at Xavier.
Okay.
There was a pharmacy school right on campus. So
Okay.
I changed my major. I was able to stay on track. I didn't like get off schedule or extend my time because I changed my major.
Okay.
And so Xavier has a 6-year accelerated PharmD program. So I had done my freshman and sophomore year as a pre-med major, but all the prerequisites were the same. I was able to then still apply for pharmacy school and get accepted and start on time in what was my junior year.
Okay. So then it just adds 2 years to technically 2 years.
2 years of kind of like undergrad or prereqs and then 4 years of pharmacy school.
That makes sense.
So I didn't get a bachelor's at all. It was PharmD. So I went from high school diploma.
Wow.
To doctor of pharmacy.
Wow.
In that order.
Wow. And you just pop out like, boom, I'm a doctor. I love that. I didn't realize that Xavier had that. That's so cool. So what proportion of Black pharmacists come from Xavier then, specifically?
Don't get me lying on these numbers. I would say that Xavier graduates a good portion of.
Okay.
And I would also say that FAMU, yes, about the HBCUs that have pharmacy programs. Hampton has a college of pharmacy.
That's true.
I believe Howard, they have a college of pharmacy too.
I think so. I think they do.
Yeah, so those are the ones that immediately come to mind. Texas Southern has a college of pharmacy. So yeah.
Okay, I don't think I knew about Texas Southern. That's really cool. Okay. I really do feel like Howard does have one because I feel like Jasmine. Yeah, because Jasmine went there. Y'all. Okay, that's me pulling her to this podcast. Okay, all right. Yeah. So no, I think she did go there, but that's really cool. Okay, so that's taking you down the path. So then, what did you do? You finished pharmacy school. Then take me to now you're Dr. Jamie.
Yes. So at that time, I was Dr. Jamie Johnson.
Okay.
She was unmarried when she got those letters.
Okay.
So I decided that I wanted to do a residency. So residency has increased in popularity over the years, but when I did my residency, it's optional for pharmacists, unlike, of course, physicians.
Yeah.
Like you all are required to go down that path.
Right.
And so for me, it wasn't that I wasn't ready yet to, be in full-time practice. I knew that I wanted to practice clinically. I didn't want to do retail as my day-to-day. Of course, working PRN, picking up shifts, in the community is one thing, but I knew in my day-to-day that I had such a great experience in hospital. Even as a student, I was an intern at a hospital pharmacy. And I knew I just wanted to go down that hospital pharmacy path. So although it wasn't stated as being required, it was kind of preferred, but the unspoken rule back then, and really even more so now, if you want to do clinical pharmacy in the hospital, then at least a PGY1 residency is really the requirement.
Yeah.
So I did a PGY1 residency. And then after that, because it's, as you know, because you've done, all that, I felt ready to be responsible for the lives of patients without my preceptor.
Yeah.
There to kind of guide me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll say this, I didn't even realize that even hospital pharmacy was really a thing. Like until I got to residency. And I'll say that because at my program specifically, there is an emergency medicine residency for pharmacists specifically. Yeah. It's the PGY2 year, I think. And so they were so instrumental in my training, and we, did so much together, and they were so much at the bedside with us. I had no idea. I mean, of course they were a thought, literally in the basement of the hospital. That's what I thought a pharmacist was. And it didn't connect. I was like, "Whew, well, that doesn't sound fun." But actually interacting with, and then critical care pharmacists and all different kinds of different things. That's what I was like, ooh, if I had known that, then that would have blossomed open a whole different other world for me as well, too. So pharmacy is, yeah, like you don't even know until you have it
Not in the basement. And it's interesting that so many people have that idea. Either we're in the community or we're in the basement at the hospital.
Yep.
And so, and this is just something that kind of like burns my bread a little bit. I do not think that my profession does a well enough job advocating for our profession and telling our story. We need to do an entire brand awareness campaign for the American public to let them know what pharmacists are doing and how we are literally
saving lives
every single day.
Yes.
Period.
Yes. Yes. Yes, 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 and yes. And I want emergency physicians to be the first ones to stand behind you guys, because no lie, like I said, you all, especially on the front lines, like I will say the front lines of the emergency room, because that's what it really is.
That's like the front door of the hospital.
It really is. And you have a physician, you have your nurse, but you also have your pharmacist. And so our ED pharmacists have been there at so many people's bedsides and critical moments. When people are boarding in the hospital and staying days in the emergency room, getting honestly not the best care. There is still in the ER, but still, and sometimes hospital medicine in the ER, but still they are the ones that are double checking and triple checking and making sure that things are okay. They are the ones that are the backstop. There are brains that when we can't think, they help us. They help you, the physicians and the nurses.
Calculations. They're checking the drip rate.
Yes. Yes. And I am ever so grateful to pharmacists because they have helped me save lots of lives and prevented me from killing a lot of people as well too, and making very stupid mistakes.
Talk about it, like these systems are not always designed with success of clinicians in mind.
No.
There are some gaping holes and opportunities for improvement. And so if it were not for us working collaboratively,
right,
these patients would be...
Yeah. Real talk. And nobody is talking about that. And like you said, I want us to be, that is the rebrand that needs to happen. You are absolutely right. You heard it here on this podcast first, is that symbiosis does need to happen, because the general public does not understand. They just don't. They understand that their prescription is not ready at Walgreens and it's $500, and I don't understand why my insurance is not going through. And it's your fault, pharmacist person. So they don't understand that there has been someone there behind the scenes that has been watching over their life and watching over their care as almost like a guardian angel. And that sounds very grandiose, but at the same time, I hope that imagery like kind of goes through, because it's the truth. So because the more eyes, the more of ourselves that we think of as a team and less of an antithesis of each other, then the more helpful that it is for the actual most important person in the room, which is the patient. Come on, somebody. You can donate to the Docs Get Money podcast. Y'all will collect the offering now. We are over here preaching today. So I didn't think we was going to go here on this podcast. But hey, I'm here for it. But yeah, no. So that's absolutely true. I love that, though. And the fact that you were able to have that experience as a PGY1. And you're right. So like, okay, I'm responsible now. I can understand what's actually happening here. So now where does that take you in your life? So after you finish your PGY1 year?
After I finished my PGY1, I did it in New Orleans. Since I already had an apartment, I was already living there. Fortunately, I matched with my first choice. I matched at Charity Hospital. And Charity is no longer, open in operations as we know it. As a result of Hurricane Katrina, it closed.
Right.
But I left there and I went to your old stomping ground, Nashville.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot about that. Dang, girl, you been everywhere.
So New Orleans, so Memphis to New Orleans, New Orleans to Nashville.
Nashville, yes.
So because I guess of my experience here in Memphis and the types of patients that I saw most often, and even from my experience with, my grandmother at the Indigent Care Hospital, I was just pulled in that direction. So my first job out of residency was at Nashville General Hospital, which is the teaching hospital on Meharry Medical College's campus. And they also have a very, very large indigent care population in Nashville. And people don't talk about that, or I don't even know people realize that, Nashville that we know now is very progressive, cosmopolitan, very affluent, lots of money. But there, like in many Black communities, there is this underbelly of, extreme poverty that people don't talk about.
Right.
And at Nashville General, we took care of anyone, regardless of their ability to pay. So that was my first job as a resident. I cared for those types of patients when I was in my PGY1 in New Orleans, at Charity Hospital. And then, I moved down that same trajectory in my, real job, post-residency, and caring for that same patient population, which has a, very near and dear place in my heart.
Yeah. So then what took you, or how long were you there before you came back to Memphis?
I was there 1 year.
Wow. And by choice or?
Girl, life, life is gonna life, right? Even when you got these credentials, these white coats, these plaques on the wall, all of the things. It's like, girl, yeah, you're a Dr. Ann. And what? I'm still about to throw this curveball. So let's see how you handle this.
Definitely the Miss Doctor part. Miss Doctor.
Right. So I loved my job. So it wasn't I left because of the job or the work or anything. I will say I learned a lot. I was one of the only residency trained pharmacists on the team.
Oh, wow.
I had a lot of responsibilities. I ran the anti-coag clinic. I did ICU rounds. I had the pager so that whenever there was like an internal med question, I got those questions. I was the co-chair of the Pharmacy and Therapeutics Committee. I was the site coordinator for our oncology clinical trials. I was the only clinically trained pharmacist in the building at that time. So all the more clinical things were within my job description.
Can I ask you a question? Can I get in your business?
Yes, girl.
Were they paying you?
No, not enough all that. No, I already knew where you were going. No. And so that in the background, coupled on top of my personal life just completely falling apart, it was just all too much.
But of course it would fall apart because you're literally doing everything and underpaid for it.
Yes.
So it's not like you're doing everything and then being able to have all of the affordabilities to make yourself comfortable outside of doing all of the things. And you broke on top of that. No.
Yeah. And I had student loans, baby. So, I was able to put them in forbearance while I was in my residency. But now that I'm working, I have a job. Santa May want her money.
Sure did. She want her check.
So, then there's that, So I ended up going back to Memphis because honestly, because I didn't go to TSU, because I didn't go to FISC, I didn't go to Meharry, I really wasn't plugged in terms of like that social network and structure.
Okay.
And the way that I roll professionally, like I don't typically hang out and, party or do all the social things with my colleagues and peers at work.
Yeah.
I keep my professional stuff over here. And then my life stuff, my personal life, me hanging out, me turning up, being Jamie the person, that is separate and apart from me and my pharmacist role.
Okay.
So I didn't have an outlet outside of work.
That makes sense.
So it was very sad and lonely. I was dating someone at the time, but their relationship started to tank. It was very unhealthy. And so I was spending a lot of time in Memphis on the weekend. So I literally would have my bag packed in my trunk. I would leave Nashville General when I got off, and I would get right on the interstate and go to Memphis for the weekend. And so after a while, like,
and I know the exact exit that you used to get on, and then yeah, because I just did it like 2 days ago.
Yes, right there. And so that just wasn't sustainable.
No.
And I was not at all in a good place emotionally, psychologically. And so I needed to be around my family and around my friends because the relationship was very unhealthy for me. And now that I'm older and I've, lived more, and I can now look back in retrospect, and I've, been going through therapy and healing all the unhealed, broken parts of me, I now can see that situation more clearly. But, when you're in the thick of things, you cannot see. Right?
Yeah.
It was just, so I ended up back at home.
Yeah. No, and that's so real though, because I think that so many of us have had those moments along the journey where we have had to go back home, and we can make it mean so many different things. Like, I think about the time that I moved back home after getting my master's degree, and after in the middle of medical school and right before I started residency. And it's like I could just say that, oh, I failed, or I made a mistake, or I could look at it as this is a pivot, this is a launch pad, this is a restart, it's a recheck. So it's all in like how you're looking at that. And also having the wherewithal to say, you know what? Nope, this is not working for me over here, and going to back home to just do that. When to a place that's safe for you. And like I said, and just letting yourself have that too. Because
in that season.
Right. Because some of us,
all of the dark thoughts, Kim, all the dark thoughts, I was having them. All of them.
Because some of us would have just sat and just dealt with that. Like, you know what I mean? And it would have been something completely different. I may or may not have ever met you. You know what I'm saying? So it's
and lived to tell about it. I may not even be sitting here.
Correct.
It was that dark.
Right. That was my thought. And so there's so many people that I know, and it's just like it gets hard, but just to know that, and to be able to be grateful that you had that as well too. Maybe some people don't have that opportunity, or never had that opportunity to go back home because that wasn't their safe place, or that wasn't their launch pad where they could go and just say, okay, let me collect myself and at least figure out where my life goes from there too. So there's so many different ways to look at that, but that's actually really, really true to say, like, hey, that's where I landed after I needed to figure some shit out. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is I came back to Memphis with the intention on just kind of regrouping, like a reset. I needed to be around family and friends in a safe space, people to love on me, to be nurtured, to lay in my mama's lap, even as a 26-year-old woman, and cry and sob.
Yep.
And snot all over the place because my life had fallen apart, or the life that I had planned with this person.
Whew.
Even my business dreams and desires were intertwined with this person and their career. And now my life is falling apart.
Right.
Like, I literally had to lay in her lap and cry.
Right.
I need in that season.
Yeah. And that's so normal.
Yes.
Like, I can think about so many different times I have had those moments of just, what is happening? Like, is this really what I want? Like, is this what's really, but that's also like, when you're questioning, that's how you know you're actually in the thick of it. Cause it's like, that's how you know. Yeah, no, that's just so real. I've been there so many different times. Like, what is actually happening? Because because I wasn't always thinking about it as this is a reset, this is a rebrand. Sometimes it didn't feel like that. It felt like I am failing. Like, what is happening? Like, if this doesn't happen next, then what? Like, I don't know. Like, this is the only thing that I continue, like, So yeah. So you said even your business journeys.
But let me tell you.
Go ahead.
Since 2006. It is 2024. I'm still in Memphis. So
I was going to say that. You're still here somehow.
Still here. See, my plan was to get myself together, get my bearings, and then I was going to relocate somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the thing about when you come home, I mean, home just has a way of like grabbing onto you, and not in a negative way. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm here and I'm trapped. I mean, I can go anywhere in the world that I want to go with my business or even with my profession. You know, these skills and talents and things are transferable. She can go anywhere. But I am here by choice because I do feel like I'm called to be here. I don't know for forever.
Yeah.
This season, I have been called to be here and do some work here.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, because I was going to say what made me think about the next is not just because still been here for this long period of time, but you also said the kind of the business ideas that you had originally definitely shifted. So I guess how did that play into your entrepreneurial journey? Because I didn't realize that you were still doing some other things on the side, or at least talking about it as well.
Yeah. So originally my dream was to open like my own like one-stop shop. So like my then partner was on the physician path.
Okay.
So they would be the, MD, medical director. I would be the pharmacist. There would be a pharmacy. It would be like, total, healthcare, center.
That's cool. Okay.
That was the plan. So I always wanted to be a pharmacist entrepreneur.
Okay.
I didn't always know how that was going to look and how I was going to, make it happen. But I always had that desire to have my own business. Always.
Got it.
Always.
But that didn't happen.
That didn't happen. No. So I had the great fortune of finally embracing social media, right? So I'm the girl now who, if I don't post or my team, hasn't posted for me, after we've kind of gone through like my content calendar and the plan and the strategy, what's the offer for this month, all those things that we have to work through. If I miss posting, I feel guilty. I feel like, oh my God, I'm letting my audience down. They're probably worried. They're looking for me. They may have needed me today and I wasn't there. That's me now. But I wasn't on social media at that time. When I was starting down this whole entrepreneurial path, I did not have a Facebook.
Well, so what year was that then? When did you?
I didn't when I looked back the other day and laughed. I didn't get a Facebook page until 2013 or 2014. And so this whole...
that's yeah.
Like I finished pharmacy school in 2004. I was in Nashville 2005, 2006.
Yeah, so you were like around when, of course, Facebook first started. Everybody's colleges were getting it.
I didn't have a MySpace page. I wasn't on...
Did you have a Black Planet?
Anything. I was so anti-social media.
Did you have a Black Planet?
My business on the internet. I don't know these strangers to be all in my business.
You didn't even have a Black Planet?
No, girl. So how was I gonna be this entrepreneur? So clearly at the time, I hadn't connected the dots between, entrepreneurship and having a online brand and persona and how all that, was important and how the pieces fit together.
Yeah.
I was thinking more like physical brick and mortar.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was on word of mouth or commercials on the radio.
Yeah.
I was so anti-social media.
But to your credit, way back then, that wasn't a thing to us. Like, that was not happening. We were just the ones that were exposed to, we can see people from other schools. We can talk to other people that are just down the street and socialize and connect with them like that. We were not thinking that was then going to connect with the .com revolution and then go into this whole like digital entrepreneurship thing. Like, nobody saw that. So resisting it, 100%. Because back then, because when we were in college, girl, I guess I'll tell this story. The way my friend group rolled, like, we would meet. We met people online through like message boards and things like that. But it's like, okay, who is this person? Who is this person? I'm gonna say Negro because they were Black. Okay. Who is this Negro? What's his name? I want to see his driver's license. I'm going to take a picture of him. Hey, if you are not back with her by this time, we are calling the police.
Yes.
What is your like? Because the online space was exactly like you said. Who are these people? Is this even real? Like, what's happening here? Like, it was a very much like matrixy still type of feel.
The Matrix.
Yes.
I was scared.
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking. It was like, now it's so normal. It's like, of course we met online. Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah. So that makes sense though, why you had your initial reservations though. That makes a lot of sense though. So you finally embrace social media. You finally get a page. You broke it down. Like what was the moment that made you say, finally, F it, I'm gonna make an account. I'm gonna log in. What was it? What was that one decision? What was happening?
So I'm all about community and learning. And so since this whole entrepreneurship journey outside of my traditional pharmacy role was new to me, I am very much one of those girls that will pay for guidance and community. So I joined a paid community, and it was my first time kind of like dipping my toe in the online business waters. I did this program, and I'm not an affiliate. I'm not a paid spokesperson, but this is my true story. My first introduction to online business was through a lady who is like all over the internet now, Marie Forleo.
Oh, okay.
Platform called B School.
Yes.
And yes. I did B School, and that was my first introduction to the online, platforms and how to leverage technology and having websites and social media for business.
Got you.
I still hadn't figured out what I was going to do in this online space, but that's what first opened my eyes.
Yes.
So I did her program.
Interesting. So you're not the first person that I've heard that said they've been introduced through B School. I really just now am starting to know who Marie Forleo is. Who got me was Amy Porterfield. Who also got me was Jenna Kutcher, because I'm just like, how is she a photographer? And then now she's this. A little bit of Side Hustle Pro, just a little bit, but not that much. But those two, I remember really indulging in Jenna Kutcher's podcast and like I said, Amy Porterfield. Yeah, those two both. Because I'm like, what is this? What are people doing? Like, what's happening?
Yes.
What's happening here?
When I say mind blown, seriously. So, and I got a Facebook at that point.
Okay, that makes sense. Because like clearly, if it's getting me to the bag like that, sure, I will go ahead and download that. That's fine.
So then, because I had that experience, when you and I met at that conference for entrepreneurs, but in the medical space, it was physician or doctor entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
That was the natural, I guess, progression as I continued to grow and learn and open myself up more.
That makes sense.
So that is when I started to kind of connect the pieces to Jamie, the pharmacist, the credentials, the white coat, this digital online business space, and how am I going to, serve people in the new era.
Yeah. So is that when you really decided to double down on your personal brand and really branding yourself? Okay, can you tell us more about that then too, those decisions?
Yeah, so all of the time that I was learning and growing and going down this business path and kind of figuring things out, but investing in some, coaching and paid communities, I hadn't yet really shared my story with anybody. So that whole experience with the dark thoughts and my life falling apart, even though I was wearing the white coat, I had the credentials, the degrees, wearing the mask every day, going to the hospital. Nobody knew what I was going through, not even my mama. When I was in that doctor community for entrepreneurs, that is when I learned about personal branding and how we each have a story and telling that story and how your purpose is tied to that story.
Yes.
So, as a pharmacist, I knew what to do if I wanted to listen to the thoughts in my head. If I wanted to take the ultimate action to end my pain, I had the clinical skills and the knowledge to do that.
And access.
Yes, and access, right? And so it was something that I had been ashamed of. It was something that I never told anybody, not even my mama. Even when I'm crying to her, all in her lap, I left that part of the story out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because for one, that's a whole other thing, like Black church, Black family, having suicidal thoughts, and we're going to pray about this, and, all that. And not that would have necessarily been my mother's reaction, but I was so ashamed to even say that to her, right? And as high achieving professionals, doctors, we can't make mistakes.
Right.
Or so we're told.
Yeah.
We have to be the polished, put together professional all the time.
Gets it right every single day. Be pleasant every single time. And if you're a Black person or if you're not a white man, you really got to be on top of your game, because any chance that you slip, it's over. Yeah.
Yes. So I had never told my real story.
Yeah.
Of how I was the pharmacist going through a clinical depression, how I ended up finally coming clean to my physician, my primary care physician, who didn't know what I was going through. I was masking it. I knew how to ace the annual. I knew how to ace the physical. I knew what to say. I knew how to act.
Yep.
She didn't know. It was me calling after my appointment to tell her, there's something that I didn't tell you.
Yeah.
She didn't even pick up on it.
Yeah.
Because I was so great at masking it, because I had to mask it every day at work.
Yeah.
Because my job literally could have been hanging, by a thread had I said, I'm crying all day. I'm going to the bathroom on my, bathroom break just to cry. I'm not eating. I haven't slept. I can't say that. I can't go to EAP and say that as a licensed person. Girl, you're going to be on a leave somewhere, sitting down somewhere in the corner. You're not going to be coming up in here getting this good check.
Absolutely.
Going on.
Absolutely. And the system, okay, so.
I know. I just took us on a whole other.
Because, but no, because, and I feel so led to just to stay right there, because it's so true. And that's part of the reason why I think I experienced burnout, because when I was feeling like that, can I even say, and I'm also applying for like a ton of different licenses for telemedicine. It's like, they ask you, are you currently in a mental health system? Like, what is going on with you? And I felt led to say no, because honestly, one, why is that any of your business? Two, I am so concerned that I'm going to be looked at as there's something wrong with me because I am seeking that. And I don't want that to be on my record. And I don't know how many other people's story that is. I'm so glad though that I know I had the training that if I should ever find myself in a problem, to voluntarily raise my hand and say, I have a problem, and to present myself. But even still, getting to that point of saying, I'm here. Yeah. And I hear you even say, like, you had a regular, normal encounter with your doctor, and your doctor probably didn't even have the time, because it's a physical. Maybe it's 30 minutes. Maybe you have to check all these boxes. I only see you once a year because there's nothing wrong with you, I'm thinking. And I don't even have the time to really sit and notice that, girl, are you sure? Like, just not even notice that maybe something may be wrong. Like, even just, is this too polished? Is this too perfect of an encounter? Is it too perfect? Yes. Are you sure? Have I looked up from my computer and actually looked at your eyes when you answer my question? So there's so many different reasons. I'm so glad that you said something like, hey, I'm cutting the shit here. Let me tell you what's really happening.
What's really going on?
Yeah. Because it's so easy to hide.
Ask me, but so I called back. Like, I called the office after I left.
Wow.
I called back. The appointment ended. Your labs look great. See you in a year. Good luck in school. All that. I called back and was like, can I speak? Can I leave a message? And they were like, oh, she's still here. Can you hold? So she came to the phone, because she knew me, and she had been my mother's doctor also. And so there was a familial relationship, and just maybe on the count of, my mom, she was like, well, Jamie's calling back. What is this about? So she came to the phone, and I was like, there's something I didn't tell you. And I was like, I've been crying every day at work. I'm not sleeping. I don't have an appetite. I'm making myself eat because I know I need to eat. I'm just so sad. I can't stop crying. And so she listened. And so then she asked me this question. She said, Jamie, have you thought about harming yourself? She asked me the question. Had she not asked me that question, I would not have volunteered that little nugget. And that was the most important piece. So I was calling back because I knew I wanted to tell her, but I still didn't just come out with it. But it's because I called back and I was telling her I was crying and this, and I was like, and my relationship fell apart, and I'm gonna have to relocate. I gotta quit my job, resign from my job and move. So her hearing all that, she asked me the question. And so in that moment, I said, you know what? Am I gonna keep pretending and lying or flogging, as we say in Memphis?
Yeah.
Wearing masks, or am I gonna be honest and tell the truth? And I said yes. Yes, I have been thinking about that. And I'm just crying on the phone, and she's like, well, I can stay in the office and wait if you want to come. Will you be okay tonight? Are you going to do anything tonight? And I said, no. Just me getting this off my chest and having someone I can at least tell this to. I feel a sense of relief just in you knowing.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, well, I'm going to trust that you're going to go home and nothing is going to happen tonight. But in the morning, I want you to come back at 9:00 because now she has to get the plan together as a physician.
Yeah.
There is a treatment plan.
Yeah.
Going on plan. I know she's going to have samples for me, a prescription for me, all the things. This is Jamie the pharmacist becoming the patient.
Yeah.
I had never been on a prescription drug in my life. So I went back, got my samples, got the prescriptions, and yeah. But of course, the story doesn't end there.
No, because I'm still talking to you. I'm just so many thoughts are going through my head. One, thank you for sharing that story. And I never knew that story. I never knew any of that because, of course, the way we started, I just always knew you from the business side. I just knew Dr. Jamie, everything that I saw, the perfectly crafted emails, all of the things that I know of you. And then, of course, getting to know you like that. But we've never just had that level of conversation. But that's so real. Because I think now I understand more so of why, I don't know where we're going next with this story, but I understand why now you are the lifestyle pharmacist and really understanding that it's a holistic approach because of that deep experience. I also love that similarly, and I didn't know we would relate on this level. We've both taken kind of a place of burnout and rock bottom and made it our business and our entrepreneurial journey. And I see, and I'm just going to impose the thought that it's probably been a very healing journey for you because that's why you're still around and that's why you're still doing what you're doing, because it's truly deeply something that is connected to you in that holistic way. And so I guess I knew that, but I didn't know that until you told me that necessarily story. But that's part of the reason why I think all doctors should say, F this clinical medicine and become entrepreneurs, because that's the healing journey that we all need. Because if we're really real, especially if we are not a white male doctor, this system is not for us. And it causes so many aggressions, micro, macro, medio, or if that's even a word, all kinds of aggressions against us. It's a very traumatic place and no one talks about it. So we're all looking for something. And I wish that we would take that pain and look at our story as a way to transition that. And so that's what I've done. That's what you've done. And I just love that so much. So saying all that to say, now that I have lavished that on you.
No, but you put it together perfectly. That is when the Lifestyle Pharmacist was born. I couldn't tolerate the side effects of the medication. And let me just say, my doctor, just like in my workspace, the whole collaboration between a physician and a pharmacist. She was gracious enough to take that same approach with me, even as I was her patient.
I love
So
that.
I was like, look, doc, these are the side effects, this is what I'm feeling, and I know we can add this to counteract this side effect, and then we're gonna get into 2, 3, 4 medications just so I can still stay on this one that
right
to my optimal dose. And I was just like, can we do something else?
Yeah.
She said, well, what do you have in mind? And so I started telling her that I was going to the gym. So for me, people may see me like on social media and out in the world and see like me physically and think that it's like a vanity thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even before I started going to therapy, the gym has always been my therapy. I didn't know that is what was happening.
Right.
As I've learned more and read and been in other spaces with other people in this more holistic space, I now I understand what that was all about. And so
yeah.
I'm like, hey, look, I'm exercising, I'm reading about nutrition, I'm changing my diet, I'm meditating, I'm doing some alternative things, and I'm starting to feel like my old self again. And she was like, okay, well, let's see how this goes. And so we did a taper down off of my medication because I never got to the dose she was trying to get me to.
Right.
I couldn't tolerate the side effects.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a taper down, and then I, amplified or ramped up more in the holistic space. And that's when I got my life back.
When you say amped up, because I know what you're probably going to say, I have a thought of what you're going to say, but tell me more exactly what you mean by that. How did you ramp that up? What did that look like for you?
So for me, like the gym was every single day. And it wasn't always just lifting weight. It was a variety of things. Like it was like my safe space. And then the thing about, like, I'm such a community girl. Since I was becoming like a gym regular, I kind of got integrated into like this little pod. And so, you see, the familiar faces and you kind of, build that camaraderie and chit-chatting. I'm not telling them I'm, recovering from clinical depression. I didn't go into all that, but I'm just like, y'all are here every day. I heard you talking about this article, or people just sharing ideas and word sharing wins, tips, and so it was that real world community environment that I became a part of, and really becoming more interested in the whole idea of food as medicine. We're not taught that in our traditional program.
Nope.
Right? So, changing my diet, being very intentional about including certain things, even opening myself up to certain types of supplements, like, meditating. And I kind of struggle with the whole, like, meditating and journaling, that whole thing, is that contradictory to my faith life?
Now that's a whole separate podcast episode we could go right there on.
Yeah.
Because
a whole lot of unlearning I had to do, and like these ideologies that I had to kind of, like get clarity on.
Yes.
And say, you know what? This is not you denouncing, Jesus and Christianity, your faith. This is something in addition to.
Yes.
Like in clinical care, we learn about adjunctive therapy. So my meditation, my journaling,
right.
That was in addition to, it was adjunctive into, my faith life. It wasn't replacing it,
right?
It.
Right.
Even that was a point of contention, a sticking point.
Right.
I'm born and raised in the church. Like, church was my second home. So it was a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
So many that I had to learn about myself and be okay with doing something different and doing what, worked for me.
Right. Right. And sorry, that took me so many different ways, because I recently have been talking to my mother, and who is a minister in the church. And of course, I was also raised in the same sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, water baptized. If y'all know what I'm talking about, y'all know what I'm talking about. So there's a specific way. Come on, somebody. So that's the way that it is in her world. And so now for me to be more so of a person, that same thing, I had to do a lot of unlearning very recently as well too, of what I think is helpful and what is not, and what is Christianity, what is, what is demonic and what is not. And some of those things are stretching, yoga poses, meditation, understanding, well, why is it that so many people are saying these things work for them, and trying these things for myself and what it's done for me personally. I try to incorporate that with my clients as well too, like at least taking a minute, closing your eyes and just breathing. Thought work. Some of those things that we're being introduced as far as coaching. You said I could have double tapped on that. You've invested in coaching, meaning you're invested in forward action as well too. So that is so powerful that you healed yourself and then launched it literally until to propelling you to get to this point right now. So
Like I am the beta test. I am the case study. Like not only like these are things that I've learned. There's my clinical training, my pharmacy education, my residency life, all of that traditional learning and training and understanding the body and the mind and how it works. But in addition, I learned about these other strategies and married the two, and it worked for me.
Right.
And my whole purpose is to help high achieving women, just like who are busy juggling businesses, relationships, careers, all the things, to be fit, fabulous, and fulfilled without prescribed pills. Now, I don't know if Big Pharma is going to come for me one day, but I always say this is not being anti-medications, right? Medications definitely have a role and a part to play.
Yes.
But where I have seen patients go totally off the rails is that they treat their medication regimen as this magic wand that can right all the wrongs in their lifestyle.
Right. And it cannot.
And it cannot. The two have to coexist together. Yes, be adherent to what your practitioner, your physician, your NP, whoever you see for your primary care, be adherent to the plan, be a partner in your care, come alongside with them, partner with them, advocate for yourself, speak up, ask questions.
And do your part.
But do your part in your lifestyle.
And that's the problem with the whole U.S. healthcare system, is that they just come to us and just expect them to be like,
fix it. Just fix it.
Boom, fix it. Immediately the pain goes away. I go home. Everything's done. No, baby. What you gonna do? What have you done before you gotten here?
Correct.
And then I'm the big bad wolf. I didn't do anything. Why are you in the emergency room? That's a big leap from oh my God to the ER, but you've done nothing in between. What's happening here? That's so real though. So saying all that to say, so tell us a little bit about now Dr. Jamie and what you do as the Lifestyle Pharmacist.
Lifestyle Pharmacist. So yes, as a Lifestyle Pharmacist, of course, I work with clients. I've moved away from one-on-one coaching, but I do still enroll for group coaching. So I have online programs and a group coaching model that will be opening for enrollment pretty soon.
Okay.
I don't keep enrollment open all the time.
Okay.
I like to have a clear, open cart, closed cart period.
Okay.
So that I can cultivate that same sense of community that I have grown to love when I've been being coached or in a program.
Yes.
And so by having a start date and an end date, people have to get enrolled so that you can be in the cohort to not only engage with me, but there's so much synergy and so much that you even benefit just from the community.
Got you.
So I do have a group coaching model. And in addition to that, I speak on stages all around the country and all around the world. And I also go into workplaces. So
yeah,
I, work in a traditional space as well. I understand the plight of healthcare practitioners currently. And not only just people that work in healthcare, but people that are high achievers and they work in corporates settings. Who are leaders, executives, and even entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So I come into workplaces and I help them to optimize their employee well-being, their engagement, and their retention through workplace well-being solutions.
Okay.
And leadership development. So just bringing the well-being and holistic principles that I teach outside in the world, bringing that into these workspaces, because everybody that works somewhere, hopefully each person who's even watching this or listening to this, you understand at home that you are the prized possession. You are the most valuable resource and asset of your organization, the human capital.
Absolutely.
And if you are not operating at your best, then you are not helping your company, whether it's your own company or a company that employs you, to reach their goals and to live out their mission, vision, and values.
Absolutely.
We are all here to impact the vision.
Yep.
Whatever that looks like, we are all here to do that work. And so being in your best state of health, physically, emotionally, mentally, it's important.
Absolutely.
So that's why the Lifestyle Pharmacist can work with you in a group coaching model, or even come into your workplace to work with your team if you're the leader, or you can speak to your employer or your HR benefits manager, and I can work across the enterprise.
I love that.
In 2024 and beyond as the Lifestyle Pharmacist.
I love that. I love that so much. So if you are part of a healthcare system that is looking for employee wellness, or if you're connected with somebody, definitely want to make sure that we're connected. I'll have you to drop your social media and your website in just a minute. I was gonna say one other thing that made me think about what you were saying was tell us a little bit more about the group coaching. Is that something that's new? I don't think that I knew that you were offering group coaching.
You know, because you and I had a conversation once about coaching, and I was like, but I'm gonna tell you,
yes,
I had fallen out of love with one-on-one just because I wanted to have a bigger impact, and not that I wasn't impacting lives working individually, but to help me to touch more lives, I needed to work with more people at one time.
Yeah.
So I have gone back to opening up the group coaching arm of the business.
I love that. But that ties so much into the community aspect that you like having and building.
Such a community girl.
Same. I always do better in the gym when I'm in a group or in a small group class. Just always just that having everyone around me, I just always do better. And so you're making me think about some things. Of course, yes, I coach one-on-one. I am going towards the group model. But that just makes me more excited about that, because I forget that is a benefit of it. It is that kind of that environment of just, we're in this together. We started together. Let's finish together. Let's be in a team, having other people that understand the actual journey that you're on together. And I love that, a part of group coaching. And that's been the vast majority of my coaching experience as well too, has been in a group. I've had one or two one-on-one coaches now that I have like a life coach, and I had a media coach. But other than that, it's always been in group settings, and I've always really enjoyed meeting other people in those spaces, and it's always been awesome. So yeah.
Because what I don't want for anybody is for them to believe the lie that they have to choose between a successful business and career and a healthy and vibrant life.
True.
We have been told that you have to choose. It's one or the other, either or.
Yes.
And I don't believe that lie anymore. And I have a system and a solution and a space to give people the tools to have both.
Got you. Okay. Well, if someone is interested in either joining their group coaching or your group coaching program, tell us a little bit more about it, and where can they find out more?
Yeah. So the best place to find out about it is to sign up to attend the next one. And I do like a master class every other month. And of course, the master class is to share actionable tips and tools and strategies for anyone who's in the room at that moment to be able to take some things and immediately apply into their lifestyle. But for those who want to go further and they're interested in working, with me on a deeper level and having that sense of community that, I teach about and talk about, then they have an opportunity to join a accelerator that I've created, which is the 6-week. Now it's 6 weeks. I'm open to, of course, hearing feedback from, the community on if they want more time or if they want to accelerate the accelerator even more. But currently today, at the time of this recording, it's a 6-week accelerator.
Okay, cool. And so, is there anything else that anyone wants to take it or may want to take advantage of? What else you got going on over there?
So
your business.
I'm always open to like meaningful connections and collaborations, right? So I'm available for podcast interviews. I do things even in the media, so wellness segments. So like Dr. Jamie, the Lifestyle Pharmacist, wants to meet you wherever you are. So if the coaching accelerator is not for you, that's fine. You can listen to me guest on some podcasts. You can read the blogs that I publish on my website, so at drjamiehardy.com. That's where people can kind of find me always. And whatever I have going on, the website will connect them to those other things. But that's kind of like the online house that I've built. So the blog, I have a lot of wellness supplements. As a pharmacist, honey.
Yes.
I have a lot
you do.
I have helped to create. So the best place to immediately, after hearing this podcast and wanting to learn more about me, is to go to drjamiehardy.com. And so there are free resources there, like products are there, and even information about, the group coaching will be there. So that's the best way.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much, Dr. Jamie Hardy. Is there anything else you would love to share with the Docs Get Money podcast audience?
So, Docs, let me just tell you, we are really out here in these internet streets, in these television streets, like getting the bag. We are. It is really happening. Okay? So
let's talk about it. Well, we did just for the last hour or so. We just did talk about it.
We are not, it is not smoke and mirrors. It is really happening. And here's the thing I want to say to anyone who has been struggling or debating or conflicted. Your knowledge, your credentials, your degrees is yours. No one can take that from you, whether you are practicing clinically wherever. You always have that knowledge, right? But that is what you do for work. That is not who you are. I am more than Dr. Jamie the pharmacist. That is what I do in terms of my day-to-day job and caring for patients and families. And I still very much love to do that work, right? However, I am creating wealth. I'm building a legacy. I am breaking barriers and walls and ceilings and tearing the things down, for little Black girls and little Black boys in Memphis, Tennessee, to see that it can happen for you too.
Yes.
Okay? So don't be afraid to do something different. If there's been something tugging at your heart, something that's on your mind, when you go to sleep, you think about it. When you wake up, when you open your eyes, take a breath, your feet hit the floor, that thing gets back in your head. Listen to it. It is just not by chance that this idea, this burning, this yearning, this longing, that you can't shake it. Like, our clinical training doesn't have to be the end of the story. For me, it was the comma. I put a period there. There's a comma, and I'm continuing. The sentence has not ended. Because I've been there. I've struggled. I have been told, Jamie, how dare you not be grateful for this great job you have, this job, this life, these credentials.
Yeah.
People would die. People dream to have this life.
Yeah.
So ungrateful.
Yeah.
I'm not appreciative. Do you know how much money that is? All
right.
That.
Right.
But you have to be true to yourself. And we are bigger. We are more than a plaque on the wall, a degree, a wall certificate, a license. That is what we do. But that is not all you have to do. You can choose to do that or not.
Thank you for so perfectly summarizing why I do what I do and why this podcast exists. Because stop believing the lie that you are constantly being told that this is all you can do now. I remember asking myself, what's next? Now what? Now who do I get to be now? What do I get to do now? Instead of I need to stay in this box. And I didn't realize that so many people would potentially look at us as ungrateful. But that's so true. I didn't it's so true. And it's almost like we're frozen. We allow ourselves to be put in this box and just stay in there and not just forever. Forever. Instead of just popping the lid off, at least, and just poking your head out and seeing what's going on. It's taking that forward action of that uncertainty of like, well, let me just try and see. Because we're not going to lose your skills. You're not going to all of a sudden forget how to doctor. No, you're not. You're not. You got that. You will be able to pick that right back up again. Read a couple of books, maybe listen to a couple of podcasts and work a shift and you'll be fine. Like right back on there. But thank you for saying that, because that so many people allow themselves to stick to their, like I said, that narrative. And I am so the antithesis of that as well too. But thank you. That is really, really powerful. And I know that the podcast audience is going to take that. And I know y'all are going to run with it. Y'all better run with it. Because if you listen to this podcast, that's what we do over here. We run with that information. Absolutely. So
we're not gatekeeping. We are actually being transparent and giving you the real.
Yeah.
And there is money out there. It's not just in your clinical practice.
Yeah.
That's the only way that you can eat, the only way you can vacation, the only way you can do things for your parents or your community or the people that you love.
Mm-hmm.
That is a lot.
Right. But sometimes it takes the investment in yourself and looking at yourself, like you said, as your first and best asset, and investing in yourself in ways that you didn't think that you would, like coaching, forward action, moving forward, doing something new and different to get yourself a different result. So yes, thank you for dropping that gem on us, Jamie. I really appreciate that. Okay, well, thank you so much again. Anything else you'd like to add to that word of knowledge?
I'm glad we made it through the podcast, girl. I still got my message.
Right, I'm about to say we didn't. We didn't. All right, Jamie, we will catch up soon. Thank you so much again. I appreciate your time.
Bye, friend.
All right, bye. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Docs Get Money podcast. New episodes drop every Thursday wherever you find your favorite podcast. Share, comment, follow, and subscribe to the Docs Get Money podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to know more, visit me, Dr. Kimberly Brown, at KimberlyBrownMD.com, and be sure to follow me at Dr. Kimberly B on Instagram. And until next time, let's go get this money, honey.